This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Yeah, I don't know if you like me. Sometimes I think you might hate me. Sometimes I think I might hate you. Maybe you just want to be me. Hello everybody, welcome to Mike's Mike. I now pronounce myself Mike. Let me set a scene for you, okay? It's 2008, you're 26 and you're working full-time corporate. After work, you text your girls on your LG NV2 to go get Cosmos and go see that new movie 27 Dresses. A few months later, it's Dirty Martinis and Maid of Honor. Then a few months after that, The Proposal. Then a few months after that, Bride Wars. Suddenly it's the end of 2009 and you're wondering why there were so many marriage-themed movies released in such a short period of time. Well, let's be serious for a second. It's not a topic that really goes out of fashion, is it? People are always getting married, so there's always going to be movies about it. But that time period was packed with that specific type of rom-com. This video is about that, but sort of one step to the left. One step to the left. I'm talking about 2008/2009 movies about women competing with each other, specifically through the lens of marriage. Hence the excellent title, Bride So Confusing. I've actually in advance won a daytime Emmy for that. I don't know if you like me, sometimes I think you might hate me, sometimes I think I might hate you, maybe you just want to be me, etc. I will be talking about two movies specifically, Bride Wars and 27 Dresses, but we'll also be mentioning other movies on the periphery, The Proposal and Maid of Honor. I was going to include Bridesmaids in the main discussion, but that movie is really important in the MMCU, so maybe at some point I'll do a standalone video. I'm literally not being hyperbolic when I say that that is a 5-star comedy. Bridesmaids was also 2011, and the true historians in the audience would know that a 2011 Bride movie is very different to a 2009 Bride movie. It's just not the same. Like a 2009 movie can be grouped with a 2007 movie, but a 2011 movie cannot be grouped with a 2009 movie. Don't be ridiculous. Let's start with Bride Wars, which is the clearest case of Bride So Confusing.
It's so confusing sometimes.
Bride Wars is a fun 3-star movie, non-derogatory. Don't underestimate the power of a 3-star rom-com. Remember people, 3 stars is not bad. You might be suffering from movie rating inflation brain if you think it is. Two best friends become rivals when they scheduled their respective weddings on the same day. The two best friends are Emma Allen and Liv Lerner, played by Anne Hathaway and Kate Hudson. And they've been dreaming about getting married since day dot, babe. Day dot. Day dot being when they were little and went to the Plaza Hotel in June and saw a wedding happening. From then on, they were both thinking, I simply have to have my wedding at the Plaza Hotel in June. Jump to present day, they're 26 years old. Old allegations. Absolute scenes in the casting room, by the way. Anne Hathaway and Kate Hudson. Are you serious? There's a scene where Emma and Liv are at a friend's wedding and both go to catch the bouquet. And it gives us an insight into who we're dealing with here. They do not play about wanting to get married. Just like I don't play about using a VPN. Segue of the century. This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Surfshark VPN, or Virtual Private Network, encrypts all of the data sent between your device and the internet, keeping your online identity safe. They should make a rom-com about someone wanting to watch a movie, but it's been taken down in their country, and then the love interest Surfshark comes along and saves the day. Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in 100 countries, so you can access and unblock content libraries and streaming services from all over the world. That's like changing your location to Scotland to watch your best friend who you're actually in love with get married. Spoiler for later in the video, but whatever. Let's name two important things starting with V. Vows. VPN. Surfshark VPN also secures your personal information and encrypts your online data so you can browse safely. Also, the Clean Web feature blocks ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts. And Surfshark doesn't track you or store activity logs of what you do online either. And let's be real for a second, it's not like it's 2008 and people only have one device. So it's handy that with Surfshark, you can connect multiple devices on the one account. Go to surfshark.com/MikesMike. You can click the link in the description or use my code MikesMike at checkout, MIKESMIC, to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk for you to try it out. Thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Now back to Liv and Emma. Emma Allen is a school teacher and is dating Fletcher, played by Chris Pratt. Liv Lerner is an associate lawyer and is dating Daniel, played by Steve Howey. We get the impression that Liv is used to getting what she wants, whereas Emma is a bit more of a pushover, as evidenced by a work colleague asking her to do things for her and Emma's inability to say no. Right off the bat, Liv is a bit of an asshole, and that's just the truth. But she also does nice things things, such as buying an expensive dress for Emma and saying it was hers but it doesn't fit her anymore so that Emma would feel comfortable accepting it instead of if it was a gift. During said dress try-ons at Liv's place, the girls find a Tiffany box in the closet. Seems like Daniel is going to propose. Oh, it's proposals. Damn Daniel. Liv's freaking out. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I'm getting married. Yes, yes, yes. But then it's depression because she realizes that her parents aren't there to celebrate this with her. As in, her parents are dead. What I think happened here is that the writers realized they made Liv too much of an asshole and decided in true rom-com style that the way to balance things out is to kill off her parents. Classic, classic, classic move. Oh my god, she's such a meanie, boo! But her parents are dead. So now I hope you feel terrible, audience. It's such a pattern. And now that I've mentioned it, you're going to see it everywhere. If the writers of a rom-com are ever in doubt that a female character isn't likable enough or is too harsh or standoffish or weird, kill off one or both of her parents. So Liv's like, wow, my life is a movie. Daniel was going to propose any minute now. Except by the next day, he hasn't. And she's running around telling people she's engaged, but it hasn't even happened yet. Then there is an engagement, but it's Fletcher proposing to Emma over Chinese takeaway. So much to be said about this, actually. My personal opinion, as someone who is extremely single and could not be further away from proposing, my personal opinion is that that proposal was so not romantic and a nothing. He doesn't even get down on one knee to propose to her. Like, he's just sitting his big ass down on that couch in front of the TV while they're watching X Factor and then asks her the question. Chop! So now Emma is engaged. She calls Liv, who's like, yay! But also a bit annoyed that she wasn't first. Mind you, Emma was very genuinely over the moon for Liv when they found the Tiffany box. The next day, feeling the pressure, Liv pulls up to Daniel's workplace being like, what was the box about, bro? Just propose already. He ends up proposing then and there while she's wearing activewear in his office. She was a little bit supreme leader of the Chop Nation here because the desperation was reeking a little bit, babe. But also, like, I get it. So now both Liv and Emma are engaged. They want to use the same wedding planner, Marion St. Clair, and both want to get married at the Plaza Hotel in June, which, side note, is only something like 3 months away in universe, which is crazy, crazy, crazy in terms of wedding planning. In my opinion, it also goes to show how shit these fiancés are, because if they were interested in their girlfriend's interests at all, they would know that they wanted to get married at the Plaza Hotel in June. So why the hell are you proposing in March? They are simply not ethical people. Marion St. Clair says that there are 3 spots left in June, 2 on June 6th, 1 on June 27th. Liv wants the 6th because that was her parents' wedding anniversary, so she activates the rom-com dead parents plural clause and takes the 6th, and Emma gets the 27th. Then it's dress shopping. Emma finds a Gorgini Vera Wang number, but feels somewhat pressured to wear her mother's wedding dress, a pressure that she has put on herself. Liv tries on the dress and it's gorgeous, but she's like, obviously I can't buy this dress because Emma, this is your dress. But Emma insists that she's going to wear her mum's dress, so Liv buys the Vera Wang. That starts a classic 2000s plotline of starving yourself to fit into a dress. The specific phrasing is, you don't alter a Vera to fit you, you alter yourself to fit Vera. Classic. Then crisis strikes. Marion calls them to say that the weddings were accidentally booked on the same day, June 6th. Do you really want to know where I was June 6th? The girls are like, ruh-roh. But also, it's okay, I'm okay. Let's just go ask the other bride to see if she'll swap the 27th date with one of the 6th dates. But Miss Girl Third Bride won't budge, and I actually get that. Let's assume she also has a 3-month engagement. That extra 3 weeks between the 6th and the 27th is an extra 25% of planning time. That's serious. So now Liv and Emma have to discuss who is going to change their wedding date. And neither wants to. Girl! Liv just flat out refuses to change it and activates the rom-com dead parents plural clause, but for once, Emma also won't budge. When Daniel and Fletcher suggest doing a joint wedding, again, neither of them wants to share the date. Especially Emma, who's like, well, for once, I'd actually like to do my own thing and have my day be about me and not have to share it with Liv. Girl. So a decision hasn't been made, but June 6th is approaching. So the girls agree to not make any date-related decisions while doing their wedding prep. Mind you, this rift means that neither of them has the other available to be their maid of honor. Bro. Then something extremely piss-offening as a viewer happens. Daniel and Fletcher are talking on the phone while Daniel and Liv are looking at invitations. They're discussing if either's partner has agreed to compromise, which of course they haven't. When Emma asks Fletcher about Liv, he says that Daniel and Liv were doing their save the date invitations. So Emma goes nuclear, like, oh, that would suggest she knows the date of her wedding. And she's decided that her wedding is definitely on June 6th. Like, okay, this is war. It's officially bride war, you guys. But the piss-offening part is that Liv wasn't even doing save the date invitations like that. She was looking, i.e. scoping and assessing options, which is a likely thing for her to do because as we've seen, she likes to be one step ahead. So of course she's gonna see what her options are. Liv was just scoping, 360 no scope. In response to Liv's perceived betrayal acceleration, Emma sends out a mistake-riddled mass email as a wedding invite to invite everyone before Liv can. Of course, removing Liv from the recipient list. Girl! The fact that this is happening because of a miscommunication of doing versus looking. Hello? Bro, I hate miscommunication plot lines so bad. In Andor Season 2. Out. Miscommunication plot lines in rom-coms. Andor has nothing to do with anything here, but the thing about me is I'm going to weave in what I'm currently interested in into any topic of conversation. Guys, Andor Season 2 is T-City Central Station. Anyway, so yes, Emma sends out her ridiculous save the date email. Since Emma and Liv share friends, the friends have decided to throw them a joint bridal shower, which is where Liv finds out that Emma sent out that save the date email. It's also where Liv suggests that Emma settled. Ooh, girl. Now things are really serious. They're going ahead with their respective plannings and not talking to each other. Like Liv has asked her male assistant at work to be her maid of honor, escandalo, and Emma has asked her op at work to be her maid of honor. They can't ask any of their tier 2 friends, i.e. the friends that organize the bridal shower, because those friends are refusing to pick a side.
Pick a side, pick a side.
Hey yo, throw your wrists up, all my bitches up. When Nikki said, you can't be Pablo if your work ain't selling. Gasp. When Nikki said that in 2017, I was in my second year master's engineering lab class gagging because it's true. Also, the desperation in choosing a new maid of honor is giving expand your social circles, ladies. It's like when a couple have all the same friends. That stresses me out. Who's getting Katie in the divorce? Who's getting Sam? Let's expand those social circles. Then the movie goes goofy mode because while the brides are at war, they're pranking each other, trying to ruin the other's special day. Pissing me the hell off. Ladies, focus. You had 3 months total to organize all this shit and you're wasting your damn time. Liv books Emma's dream DJ and switches out her spray tan color so she goes orange. So Emma switches Liv's hair highlights to blue and starts sending Liv chocolate and cookie gift boxes to try and make her gain weight so that she won't fit in the Vera Wang dress. Girl, it's just self-defense until you're building a weapon. That last one specifically, ooh, very 2000s. I looked on Reddit to see which side people are on, and the consensus seems to be Team Emma, except the weight stuff was evil, which I agree with. Mind you, searching this movie up on Reddit was a scary experience. People were mad as hell at each one. They're like, bitch this, bitch that. I said, oh my god, it's just a movie. It's pretend. You're an adult, you should know that. The movie tries to make it seem like the fake tan prank is the same level as the chocolate cookie prank. And I'm like, and that the worst thing Emma did was make Liv's hair blue. They say we've got the same hair. While Emma and Liv are focused on ruining each other's wedding prep, they are driving their lazy ass fiancés crazy. Oh my god, babe, why are you spending your time focusing on that? You should be organizing our wedding. Boo, loser, why aren't you helping? Overall, the couple fracturing the most is Emma and Fletcher, and he's pissing me off. While that's happening, we're also getting a little something between Emma and Liv's gorgeous and smart and nice and gorgeous brother Nate. Seems like they're good friends, and there was potentially something between them, but Nate waited too long. Many such cases. Emma hijacks Liv's bachelorette party and steals the show, which is the worst thing in the world for Liv, who needs to be the center of attention. But as the wedding day approaches, me loves, you can see that they miss each other. Then the film doubles down on the miscommunication and the double piss-offenings. I could barely contain myself. Except this time, it's literally. Emma's running in the park listening to music, and Liv's trying to get her attention, but Emma can't hear her, so Liv assumes she's ignoring her. Emma calls Liv's office but can't get through because there's some kerfuffle with moving the offices around. So Emma's like, she clearly doesn't want to talk to me. Ladies. The wedding day arrives. Emma's dad visits Liv to say that her mum and dad would have been proud. Bruh. The girls see each other about to walk into their respective ceremonies, and they're looking at each other like they regret the whole drama. It's so confusing sometimes. One of the pranks that Liv did was to replace Emma and Fletcher's wedding arrival video with a video of Emma being feral in college. But after Emma's dad talks to Liv, she decides to switch it back. But it doesn't get switched and the video plays at Emma's ceremony. Emma snaps and runs across the hallway to Liv's ceremony and tackles her. Cinema, actually. This third act is really serious Criterion Closet cinema. Post-tackle, the girls realize we can't be doing this bullshit anymore. And then they make up. Yay! Maybe we're so meant to be. Just you and me. Evil Fletcher comes into Liv's ceremony mad at Emma for the video and for ruining their ceremony. He shades Liv and he's talking all this shit and Emma's like, seems like you fell in love with a version of me that existed 10 years ago and doesn't exist anymore. Which is so scary because that can happen to people. This is a psychological horror film. Emma and Fletcher break up. At Liv's reception, Liv's gorgeous and gorgeous brother Nate asks Emma to dance. Jump to 1 year later, Liv and Emma meet up after Emma's just come back from her honeymoon with Nate. Another very fast timeline considering they hadn't even been on a date a year ago. Anyway, the end of the movie is them being like, oh, I'm not drinking. Oh, I'm not drinking either. Wait, are we both pregnant? Are we both due March 3rd? That brings us to the sequel movie, Pregnancy Wars. Some additional thoughts on this movie. They should have married each other, I don't give a fuck. Fletcher is so interesting. He's really challenging Devil Wears Prada Nate for the title of worst Anne Hathaway on-screen boyfriend. Also, this entire drama should have been sorted out by Marion St. Clair and the Plaza Hotel for fucking up the dates. Deal with it, Miss St. Clair, what am I paying you for? Also, this movie has that one song that's so rom-com. There's that one TikTok that's permanently burned into my brain that uses this song. Next up, 27 dresses. 27 abiti. After serving as a bridesmaid 27 times, a young woman wrestles with the idea of standing by her sister's side as her sibling marries the man she's secretly in love with. Serving 27 times, being there, babe, but being a bridesmaid 27 times, I said, whoa. Miss Jane is bridesmaid supreme. She calls it her calling, which she discovered as a child at a relative's wedding when she helped fix the bride's dress. Around the same time, Jane's mother died, so she was kind of mother light for her sister Tess. Well, another dead rom-com parent. Cut to now, Jane's getting her wedding dress tailored. Except it's not her dress, is it? She's a bridesmaid, of course, and she's helping with last-minute changes to the bride's dress before the ceremony. Jane is so kind. At the ceremony, Jane keeps looking at the time like... That was so rodent-like. Guys, don't look at me like that. Ugh. When there's an appropriate gap in the wedding, Jane gets in a taxi and goes to another wedding. Bro, she's got 2 weddings on the same night. She's changing into a sari in the back of the taxi, then changing out of it, then in, then out, then In-N-Out Burger. Jumping between the 2 weddings all night, of which she is a bridesmaid at both. Again, Jane is so kind, Jane is so loved. James Marsden Kevin is at the first ceremony and is watching Katherine Heigl Jane run in and out. Like, what's that lady doing? Jane is knocked unconscious during the bouquet toss and Kevin helps her up and offers to take her home. During the drive, he's hating on weddings, yap, and Jane's like, well, actually, like she loves weddings. And he's pissed her off with his weddings attitude. When Jane gets out of the taxi, she accidentally leaves her planner and Kevin looks through it. He discovers that Jane has been a bridesmaid at 7 weddings that year alone. Escandalo. Turns out Kevin writes the commitment section of the paper, which is so sign of the times Harry Styles. If Gen Alpha watches that, they'll be like, what the hell is the commitment section? Skibbity toilet riz. After finding this crazy lady who's been a bridesmaid at all these weddings, Kevin goes to his boss like, wait, I might have a really good story here. Jane loves these engagement profiles that Kevin writes, but she doesn't know that it's Kevin writing them because he writes under the name Malcolm Doyle. All right, so there's a couple of our main characters and their setup. Next, we've got Jane's boss, George, who runs an eco-friendly outdoor sports magazine. Whatever the hell that means. You're telling me that magazine topic is profitable enough that there's an entire team running it? Anyway, Jane is George's personal assistant and she's obsessed with him. Like infatuated. She would do anything for him and does do anything for him. He is a nice guy though, so it's not like he's just some feral. Next character, Jane's younger sister Tess, who Jane is picking up from the airport and is staying with Jane for the next few weeks. Tess and Jane are quite different. We can see that Tess is quite freewheeling, whereas Jane is more reserved, which checks out with the mother light upbringing. Jane goes to a work engagement party and invites Tess too. Tess meets George and George is obsessed with Tess. From then on, it's the Tess and George show. They're dating, they're hanging out all the time, all the while poor Jane is still obsessed with George, but he's now dating her sister. Girl. Tess does ask Jane if it's okay if she hangs out with George, but it's not in Jane's nature to say no. So she's like, yes, that's so fine, babe. Go for it. Hashtag love is love. An added layer here is that Tess is lying about things to make George like her. That she likes dogs, loves hiking, that she's a vegetarian, etc, etc. Montage of Tess and George hanging out. Boom. They're engaged. Girl, this is Bride So Confusing Sister Edition. Mind you, they could not possibly have been dating for more than a couple months at this point. Am I out of touch to think these rom-com timelines are ridiculous? Maybe I'm moving too slow. Also, the way the engagement happens is so Scream, because Jane goes to a restaurant that George is at because he forgot his wallet at the office and she's bringing it to him. And when she walks in, the surprise band starts playing and George literally says, no guys, that's not her. Doh! Also, Katherine Heigl's physical comedy is top notch here. While this disaster is unfolding, annoying ass Kevin Doyle keeps trying to hang out with Jane, but she's like, ugh, leave me alone. But after Tess and George get engaged in that whole debacle, she agrees to have one drink with Kevin, and it's a minor queen out. Like, you're watching this and you're thinking, enemies to lovers maybe? We'll see. Ignore the lighting change. You're not allowed to comment on things of that nature. I could spiral into a rage about how much I hate downlights. Because why is there one light there and then no lights on the rest of the room? Whoever did this room, like, you need to be dealt with. Very cool. Think positive thoughts. Jane's like, ugh, I'm gonna have to organize this wedding for my sister. And Kevin's like, why don't you just say no? Sorry, excuse me, babe, that's not an option here. Jane and Tess's dad gives Tess their mother's wedding dress. Jane's about to go nuclear because wearing her mother's dress at her own wedding was a dream of hers, and previously Tess had mentioned that she doesn't actually like that dress. Similarly, Tess suddenly wants to get married at the boathouse like their parents did. Again, another thing that Jane wanted way more than Tess. This is literally bride war. Then Tess mentions that the wedding ceremony is in 3 weeks because that's the boathouse's only availability. 3 weeks! Tess and George are getting their engagement written up about in the paper by Malcolm Doyle. So when Malcolm shows up, Jane realizes that Malcolm is Kevin, which is crazy because she loves the things that Malcolm writes because they're so beautiful and in tune with her own thoughts and feelings on weddings and engagements. But Kevin here was singing a different tune in the taxi. Obviously, Jane feels like she's lied to, so she wants nothing to do with him. He comes to her apartment later on. She doesn't want to talk to him, but he's saying, I have to talk to all of the bride's family for the peace. When Jane lets him in, he notices Jane's closet of 27 bridesmaids' dresses. She's kept them all, including the ugly ones. She tries one on for him to show that they're not all ugly, and it turns into a fashion show where she tries them all on and he takes photos of the 27. Kevin's like, why the hell would you keep all these dresses? Jane says because she had some good times in those dresses and one day those brides will be there for her on her wedding day. I'm kind of confused here because this suggests that the normal thing to do would be to throw out the bridesmaids' dresses. Is that what people do? Now don't forget, Kevin is still writing an article about Jane. His editor wants to run the piece, but now Kevin's like, can we just wait for a little bit? The 27 dress fashion shows got him a little bit like, hold on. Maybe there's something special about this Jane girl. Kevin and Jane keep hanging out. We find out he has wedding trauma. His bride ran off with his college roommate, which is why he's now anti-wedding. Then Kevin works out that Jane has this mega crush on George. I want to dance with George. He confronts her about it while they're in the car, and Jane is mad as hell and driving crazy, and they hydroplane off the road and get bogged and have to wait out the storm in a nearby bar. It's giving fanfic. Oh my god, we have to wait out the storm at this hotel, but there's only one bed. They're having drinks at the bar and talking about weddings, likely thing for them to do. Jane doesn't believe that his cynical thoughts about weddings are authentic, and she thinks that he's putting it on. He says that his favorite part of a wedding is seeing the groom's face when the bride walks in, and would you bloody believe it? That's also Jane's favorite part. They're drunk singing Benny and the Jets by Elton John when it comes on the bar jukebox, and it's really cute.
Benny and the Jets.
I wonder if I'll still get a copyright claim for using a 3-second scene across this entire video. So yes, Benny and the Jets. I realized you guys don't play about your rom-coms, because I posted on my story that there was a video coming this week and here's a hint. And I put 3 song screenshots and that was one of them. And 3 billion people replied saying 27. Whoa, okay, you guys know you're Benny and the Jets. Then Jane and Kevin kiss. Oh my god, you guys, it's literally enemies to lovers. The next morning they're at a diner and the waitress recognizes Jane from the paper. why would Jane be in the paper? Kevin's article got published, the one about Jane being a bridesmaid weirdo. This is a crisis for sure. There is so much Mission Impossible fallout from this. Tess is more mad that the article painted her as a bridezilla than feeling bad for Jane. Like, babe, you suck. When Jane is with Tess at a dress fitting, the wedding dress comes out and it's completely different from their mother's dress. But wasn't she wearing the mother's dress? Tess had their mother's dress chopped up and then made into a completely different dress. It's so confusing sometimes, bro. There is no coming back from that. While I was watching, I said, that's too far. That's too far. They went too far. This sends Jane into feral mode. And at the rehearsal dinner, she goes off script and shows everyone a slideshow that proves Tess has been lying about a whole bunch of things, like being vegetarian and liking hiking, etc. Ah, yes, the wedding event presentation surprise. We just saw that in Bride Wars. George calls off the engagement, and Jane thought that she would feel vindicated, but she actually feels horrible. And that is because Jane is so kind. Hashtag Jane is so kind. Kevin's there trying to comfort her and came looking for her to apologize again and says that he'll disappear forever if she wants him to. He gives her a phone thing, Pilot something, Pocket Pilot or something, to replace her planner. Sometime later, the girls have a big fight but realize, wait, we're literally sisters. Like, oh my god, why are we being nasty to each other? Jane explains how it's been hard for her as the older sister without a mother. And Tess reveals that things aren't going great in her life either. Think you should come to my party and put your hands up. George is going to an event and needs a date. And since Tess isn't in the picture, he's like, Jane, help me. So of course, Jane helps him. And when George says, that's what I love about you, Jane. You always say yes. She says, well, no. And says the only reason she's stayed so long at this place is because she thought she was in love with him. Then he kisses her, which is so ridiculous considering he just called off his engagement to her sister not that long ago. But anyway, Jane's like, no spark. Hashtag no spark. That kiss was Chop City Central. Like, I'm not moving at all. You're just some guy. You're not Kevin. Then the phone thing Kevin gave Jane starts going off playing Benny and the Jets. Oh my god. She's listening like, oh my god, that's my man. Let me go get my man. So of course she rushes after Kevin, who of course is at his last wedding before changing to a different writing gig. Jane confesses her feelings. They kiss. Hashtag yay. The end of the movie is Jane and Kevin's wedding. Jevon, Kane, Jevon. Tess is there and so is George. They talk to each other. It's civil. Then we get cinema extreme supreme. Jane and Kevin are standing at the front of the ceremony. Tess and Jane's friend Casey are bridesmaids standing behind Jane. And then we see all 27 brides standing behind them wearing the ridiculous bridesmaids dresses from their weddings. Wow! When I saw it, I was like, oh my god. So our main rivalry in this movie was Jane and Tess. Of course, things ended up fine between them, but Tess cutting up the dress is nasty work. Side note, the way in this movie, Jane is literally girl who is going to be okay. She is literally that meme. Something that is a key part of the appeal in 27 Dresses is the enemies to lovers pipeline between Jane and Kevin. Many such cases in rom-coms. When it hits, it fucking hits. Like, it is truly one of the great successes of the human race when it's pulled off successfully. Just think, we used to be cavemen. Another film in this set that I watched was The Proposal, which is also kind of enemies to lovers. Sandra Bullock's Margaret and Ryan Reynolds' Andrew. It's just classic names, Margaret and Andrew. There's actually 2 Margarets in my comedy script. You can't go wrong with a Margaret. When New York editor Margaret faces deportation, she convinces her assistant Andrew to marry her in return for a promotion. However, when she visits his hometown, it changes her in many ways. She's perceived evil boss and he's goofy but actually good at assisting assistant. When you sniff it, it's a little bit Devil Wears Prada nacho dust. An alternate version where Miranda Priestly and Andy Sachs end up together. Wow. That's actually the plot of Devil Wears Prada 2. I'm kidding, but that movie is coming out, and if I don't get invited to that premiere... Thweety, there will literally be hell to pay. But on a more analytical note, there is that parallel between Devil Wears Prada and The Proposal, where Miranda and Margaret are both seen as powerful, successful women, but whose power and success has resulted in them also being seen as cold-hearted and kind of evil boss lady. That's also sort of in Bride Wars. Liv is really good at her job as an associate lawyer, but she's also presented as potentially too headstrong or commanding. Interesting. But Margaret being presented as this cold, suited, busy city business lady, can you guess one of the initial ways they start to make her likable? Enter stage left, double dead parent reveal. I'm telling you, once you see it, it's everywhere. Like, oh my god, she's like this because of that. What if she wasn't? But yeah, she's headlining Dead Parent Cella, but she also doesn't have siblings, whereas Liv at least had a sibling. I liked The Proposal. I think it's probably the best movie out of all the ones I'm discussing in this video, bar Bridesmaids. Sandra Bullock is such a great actress. Ryan Reynolds was there too. No, guys, that was no shade. No shade. Also, anytime I say Sandra Bullock, I think of that one video of Mamrie Hart where she's like, Sandra Bullock. Does anyone remember that? This was another case of a 5-minute engagement period, except this time that's actually part of the plot. Also, the actress for Tess in 27 Dresses is in The Proposal too as Andrew's ex. She was booked in the late 2000s. Let's now gear shift from a great rom-com to a terrible rom-com, Maid of Honor. Nah. I don't even want to talk about it. That's how much it annoyed me. This is how you know movie ratings mean nothing, because this movie being rated 4.7 out of 5 on Amazon is insanity. That's why we have to look at context clues, because who the hell is buying Maid of Honor on Amazon unless they're already Maid of Honor Nation? Of course they're going to rate it high. You can't trust that score. You also can't trust Rotten Tomatoes. They gave this movie like 15%. Just a bunch of haters. But in all seriousness, this movie pissed me off. Hannah surprises Tom, her best friend who's secretly in love with her, with the news of her engagement to a wealthy man. Things take a complicated turn when she asks Tom to be her maid of honor. Whatever, man. It was eye-roll city central for me the entire time. Wow, he sleeps with hundreds of women but realizes the woman he really wants is his best friend. Oh, brother, this guy stinks! Michelle Monaghan and Patrick Dempsey though, like, okay, I see the vision. Hannah gets engaged during like a 7-week work trip to Scotland, and then it's boom, 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 wedding. Again with the ultra accelerated timelines, like, can we chill out? Some more issues. We've got that classic thing of Du Bois being like, oh, wedding planning, oh, that's for the girl. Mind you, they're discussing that at their weekly basketball games, which is another thing. What was with the assumption that men in their 30s were playing basketball all the time? Like, is that accurate? And I just think it's unrealistic because I wasn't there. Also, the concept of straight men and straight women not being able to just be friends. Tom and Hannah in this movie. Emma and Nate in Bride Wars. I was going to say Jane and Kevin in 27 Dresses, but not really. They weren't really friends. That's enemies to lovers, guys. That's different. I just do not like Patrick Dempsey's character, and I don't care about him enough to see what happens. Hannah's fiance is Scottish, so the wedding happens in Scotland, and there's this undertone of Scotland is so weird and crazy with these weird and crazy people and these weird and crazy customs. That pissed me off. That made me pissed off in America even more. Now, I said that I wasn't going to include Bridesmaids, and I'm not. I just wanted to mention that it also kind of matches the theme with the relationships between women. It's Kristen Wiig versus Rose Byrne. Like, they're literally going tit for tat, mind you, in a 5-star capacity. If I had to rank the movies in this video, I would say The Proposal, Bride Wars, 27 Dresses, Maid of Honor. If you want to put your own ranking in the comments, feel free. Thank you again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Got that link in the description and my code MikeSmike at checkout. Outro. See you all soon. Next video will probably be another Sex and the City one. That was a horrible wink, but I'm leaving it in because I'm real.